They tell you to grind until you make it. You know, get the education, get the degrees, get the certifications. You know, once you get the job, get the salary, get the seniority. The sky's the limit, right? Well, I did all of that, you know. I got the education. I got all of the certifications. I eventually got the salary. And I experienced a little bit of seniority, nothing major, just a little bit working up, you know, through the ranks in my career. And all it cost me was my mental health. So today I am disassembling this PC the same way I am currently disassembling my career to hopefully build a better life for myself, a life that I truly want to live on my own terms. And so I wanted you to join me. And I've already gotten started with taking the PC apart. I've unplugged the power supply, right? So I had to disconnect a lot of the parts and pieces from that so I could remove that. And this is actually, fun fact, this is actually one of the first and only PC that I ever actually built. I actually built it along with one of my coworker friends when I first started my IT career. This computer is about 8 years old, and I'm breaking it down so that I can recycle it, and it makes it a bit light. It makes it a lot lighter to lug around if I can take some of these parts out. The case is glass. I've gotten the side panels off. One of the panels is complete tempered glass, and there's glass here in the front. Well, there, look, I can show you. I can take it off in the front, and that glass is heavy. That glass is super heavy, and so yeah, I'm just taking this bad boy apart, mainly to get to this hard drive here. And I'm a bit rusty. I haven't had to really get down and dirty with hardware, PC hardware in a very long time. And as I was taking the PC apart, it was jogging my memory as I was going along. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's how this goes. That's how this connects. I got to flick this little piece here and unclip that little piece there. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. And who knows how long it's going to take me. But I just wanted to come on here and kind of share a story about how I mentioned in my last video about choosing your authentic path, and it just got me to thinking, like, well, I have been thinking about it, and I just wanted to actually tell the story of the first instance of a path being chosen for me, as opposed to me choosing my authentic path, the path that I really, truly wanted to take as far as my career is concerned. And so basically, at the beginning of my tech career, I ended up going to a tech school. It was a couple of months long, like 4 or 5 months. I think it was like 4 or 5 months long, where they teach, where you learn some, skill in tech. They have different programs. You could take a different, different programs, like if it was, learning to code or whatever, right? It was just a tech school, and once you applied it for the school, you take an assessment. Y'all, I'm trying to take these screws out so I can get to trying to remember how we did these panels. I might have to flip this bad boy on the side to get these panels out. And I'm trying to remember how I was like, okay, you don't remember this. This is super easy. Why can't you just take this thing apart? I feel like it's a clip or something that I got to slide out, but I can't remember because this thing is completely loose. This is the main thing I'm after right here, which is the hard drive. If you can see it, it's right here, and I'm trying to figure out how to slide this bad boy out. I've already disconnected the case that holds it. I just can't remember how to get this top piece off. I feel like these pieces slide, and I'm just not, for whatever reason, I can't remember how to do it. It'll come to me. But until it does, I'll just move on to, is that it? Did I unclip it? I feel like it's a clip that you got to do to slide it on out, but it ain't working. And I guess I could have Googled it real quick, but what's the fun in that, right? But anyway, back to the story. So to get in this tech school, you have to take an assessment test. And the assessment is supposed to tell you which program you would be better suited for in the tech school, based off of how you answer certain questions, whatever. It's some technical questions and that thing in there, but then they ask you some like other types of questions to kind of get a feel for what you might be interested in. I don't even really honestly remember what was on the test, but the purpose of the test was to let the career counselor know which program you would be better suited for, right? So I take this assessment. I go in, after I take the test, I go in to sit with the counselor to go over my test results or whatever. And the counselor goes, well, you score really, really well for the areas that indicate computer programming. But based off of your personality, you should do the system admin instead of the computer programming. I think that would be a better fit for you. Now, just to give you a bit of context, I am completely green to IT. I really have no clue on really what IT is. Of course, I've used computers, but regular stuff, email, internet, for regular, just as an end user, not as a IT professional, right? So, I mean, I was good with using computers. Like, I understood how to use them. I'm a fast learner. I was quick, I was really good at using computers, but not on the level at which, the behind the scenes kind of aspect of it. That was the extent of my, computer knowledge. Us being millennials, especially as elder millennials, I'm just adjusting this. It looks like the camera is a little sideways. Hopefully you guys can still see me. We were able to kind of grow up with the tech. Like we were introduced to it and we started to grow up with it. So that I think that made us a bit more tech savvy. So, I was comfortable with using computers, and that was just the extent of what I knew about computers. So when he said that to me, I was just like, oh, okay. And instead of asking more questions, now, mind you, I had one computer programming class when I was in college, and I think it was like C++ or something like that. And that was the extent of me knowing what IT was. And I didn't do I think I got like a C in that class. Like I, was middle of the pack. I didn't excel in it, but I, didn't do horrible. I mean, I got a C. But that's because when I think back to that class, I really had no context of what we were doing. It was just one of the classes that I had to take to get my degree. And I really didn't have no real context of what the class was really about. Why were we doing it? I kind of just didn't understand it at all. And so I was just doing the assignments. I'm really good at following the directions. So I just was following the directions and doing the assignments as best as I could. And I kind of think back to that time, and I kind of wish that I would have taken a chance to figure out, more, well, what is this for? Or what else can you do that has something to do with computers? But hindsight is 2020. Obviously, during that time, I was 18, 19. You know what I mean? I really wasn't thinking about computers and stuff. You know what I mean? I was 19, 20, I would say. Really wasn't thinking about computers like that. It was, I chose business, because I was so fascinated with business people that I saw in movies and stuff. And I said, well, I'll just do business, and that should be good, and I should be able to get a good, there it goes. Okay, it was clips. This whole time, y'all, you had to press the clip down and up to slide it out. See, I told you, forever. It's taken me forever, but I'm glad I figured it out. And this bad boy right here is the hard drive that I want to make sure that I destroy so that it can't, Now, I've already wiped it through, through the user interface, through the Windows wipe and all of that stuff. So it's most likely good. And but I just want to make sure before I turn all of this metal in. This whole time I'm sitting here, I'm like, it's a way freaking clips that you had to squeeze. All right, I know if any computer guys out there, guys and gals out there, I prefer to you guys as geeks, because I'm a geek. I'm a computer geek. So I'm not using geek as a derogatory term whatsoever. I am a computer geek as well. I'm just a bit rusty. Like I said, it's been a couple minutes, couple years, a little minute since I had to mess with this stuff. So can't really remember a lot of it. But yeah, so the hard drive, man, holds all the memory, and mine got full. All right, my memory got full, right? So anyway, back to the story. So the career counselor choosing where he was like, nah, system admin, you fit that better. Your personality fits that career better, and you should enjoy it. You'll like it. And so I was like, okay, cool. It's something I didn't even realize that it was other things that you could do outside of computer programming, because that was what I knew IT was a bunch of people coding, sitting in front of the computer, writing all this stuff on a computer that looked like a bunch of gibberish, and that's what I thought it was. But now this guy introduced, well, there's something else you can do. But again, it was kind of like a path that was laid out for me, more so than ultimately, of course, it was my choice to do it, but because it made sense to me how he explained it and stuff, and they just laid it out for me, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Instead of maybe asking a bit more probing questions about the computer programming and all of that kind of stuff, and why do you think I scored high on that? So what about it, would make me really good at doing it? What I like about it? What wouldn't I like about it? I didn't ask any of those questions. At least I don't remember asking any of those questions. And I kind of just went on with the flow. And that started my tech career. And I had a good, I started off really well. I had a wonderful team that I worked with. My management was amazing. It was a good time, and I didn't have any regrets. I worked really hard to work on getting promoted, getting the certifications I needed in order to get promoted and get more and more leadership roles, and I did. And I mean, and within 3 years, I went from making about $40,000 to about $70,000, in 3 years, because I was grinding, y'all. I was working really hard. I was going above and beyond. I was busting my tail to get these certifications, and I was just working really hard, and I just wanted to prove that I was a good employee, that I was responsible, that I was smart, that you can depend on me. You know what I mean? That I was dependable, and and I knew my stuff, you know what I mean? And I did, and I believe I did just that. And that was fine. So then I came to a crossroads of trying to figure out if I wanted to continue doing customer service, because, customer service based stuff, because I was doing help desk, and then more help desk stuff, and I did technical training, which I really enjoyed that. But once, it started coming closer to the time for me to decide, if I wanted to keep working in that type of environment or if I wanted something different. I came to a realization dang, I don't know that I really want to keep doing this kind of stuff where I'm always solving problems, always troubleshooting, always dealing with customers. Because I don't know if any of you out there have ever had customer service jobs, but you can have some good customer service experiences, and you can definitely have some bad ones. And tech is no different. Working in tech is no different. And I was kind of, over it. I was kind of over doing customer service, even in tech, because up until that point, every job I had ever had was always some customer service based thing, like always. So even when I get into tech, I still can't get away from it. So I was contemplating about, do I really want to, continue this type of work? Because I'm always going to have to deal with customers, whether internal or external. And I'm always going to have to be trying to solve things and solve problems and do, all the time. And it can be a bit exhausting. And so I was trying to see what else was out there, and cybersecurity came up. It was really popular. All of my, coworkers, people that I looked up to were like, nah, well, you should do cyber. They make good money. It's always jobs. You should do that because that's what we doing. We getting this cert, this cert, this cert, and we gonna try to do this job, this job, this job. And I was just like, I was a bit rebellious towards it because I was like, well, if all y'all doing it, I mean, you know what I mean? It just seemed too laid out. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Not just necessarily just because they were doing it. It was just like, it ain't nothing else. Like, this is the only other option from this, from what I'm doing now, It just seemed like that's the only thing everybody in that, in that environment was focused on. And so I was a bit rebellious, and I just ended up falling back into just doing what I knew, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I think it really wasn't because it was popular. It was because I felt like there's a whole new set of, things that I got to learn. It's a whole nother cert I have to get. Do I really have the energy for all of that? Like, dang, I've done all of this stuff so far. I've worked so hard this far to do what I'm doing now. And now you're telling me I got to switch and do something else and get some other certs. So I ended up going, you know what? No, I'm just going to stick to what I know, And I ended up continuing on and getting deeper into system administration. And again, still customer service based, still solving problems constantly, day in and day out. And I got to a point where I was just drained, and it didn't help that I ended up moving on to a different job, with a different company and everything like that. And it didn't help that my work environment really wasn't good. Like, it really wasn't a positive work environment at all. The good thing about it was I was a bit more autonomous. Like, I was working solo. I really wasn't working in a team environment, which was fine. But the overall work environment was just stressful. It was stressful. And it didn't help that the management, we didn't really gel too well, and stuff. So I ended up, I did that job for a while. It had some nice points, but for the most part, it was just more stressful than anything. And I just couldn't, I had been working so hard and doing all of the stuff and everything. And I didn't realize it, but that was like the beginning. That job was really I think taking that job was really like the beginning of my burnout, because I went from a job where I was always constantly solving problems and working really hard to another job where I still was constantly solving problems and dealing with customers and stuff like that. And I think that was kind of the beginning of it. And I really, hindsight now, I can say it. But while I was in it, you know what I mean? I thought it was just normal. I thought it was regular to feel that way. You know what I mean? And I was just tired. I was exhausted. My work environment didn't help. I really didn't have the luxury back then to really take vacations and stuff like that, because I really wasn't making money like that. I actually ended up taking a pay cut for that job, but that's another story. But yeah, and that was at the beginning of my burnout. And I ended up leaving that job and ended up taking a job where at that point I would be the highest salary that I would have been made, that I made up until that point, and I didn't last because I was burnt out. I was tired, and I realized that job would have required of me to give so much to it, and I did not have the energy for it, y'all. I didn't have the energy for it, y'all. So fast forward to today, in between there, I took a bit of a break, and I'll save that story for another video. But I took took a little over a year off to kind of recharge my battery and reset. But I ended up falling right back into the same thing, which is what I know, because I was like, man, do I have the energy to do something completely different? But then I was like, well, this cybersecurity thing, all right, fine, let me go ahead and go after this cyber stuff. So I went in, I got all of the cybersecurity, all of the certs, I got all of the certifications. I mean, I've gotten some really advanced tech certifications. I ended up going to grad school for cybersecurity. I mean, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out. I ain't going to half-ass anything, right? That's my mindset about a lot of stuff, especially being a woman in tech, being a woman of color, being a black woman in tech. I think a lot of times we feel like we got to do all the things. We got to go all out, go above and beyond, get all of the certs, get all of the education in order to be taken seriously. And so that at the end of the day, nobody can discredit you based off of, nothing like that. Nothing, not off of certs and qualifications or nothing. Because if we don't got nothing, we got that education. You know what I mean? Especially in a male-dominated industry like IT. So, yeah, I did all of that while working full time. And here I am hitting the roadblock again, y'all. Hitting the roadblock again. And now I'm really, I guess I'm old enough now to realize, guess what? I'm going to show y'all something. If I can get this bad boy out of here. Which I might not be able to. I want to show y'all this piece. There it goes. You see that? That's a battery. The CMOS battery. It powers my CPU. Powers the motherboard. Powers the CPU. This bad boy, this battery powers this whole computer. This powerful machine, right? That has, well, at the time, it was real powerful when I first bought it and put it together. But not so much anymore. They have more powerful parts and stuff now. But anyway, I digress. This little battery is powering the whole brain of the operation. And my battery is drained. My battery is drained, y'all. My brain, just like the brain of this computer, the CPU, runs off of this battery, this energy. My brain is, because my battery is low, my brain is having a hard time, right, functioning and processing. It's processing. It's still processing now, just not as efficiently as it can, right? And that's one of the side effects of a burnout, guys. Your brain just make you take a break. And if you're smart enough and you recognize, to listen to your body and, and to recognize the signs, you can get a handle of, get a hold of it before it, does even worse damage to you. And maybe you end up in the hospital or something like that because your body is really, really beginning to break down. And we don't want that. So I just kind of wanted to give a brief little, just chat with you guys as I try to work on taking apart this computer. Like I said, I got the main piece that I was looking for, even though it took me way longer than it should have to figure out the clips. But like I said, I'm a bit rusty. But I just wanted to kind of share that, just the first time where I chose a path just because it was laid out for me. And if you guys want to watch the video that I just did about choosing your authentic path, I kind of touch on it. And I posed the question of have you sat down and, and thought about if you're following a path that you chose, or are you following a path that was chosen for you. In the last in my last video, so if you want to check that out, you can. But I do want to just leave you with this. I'm going to continue to take this bad boy apart, just to get a couple more pieces off of it before I send it off to get recycled. It is getting recycled and everything. But I do want to pose this question to you all. Have you ever had to, hit reset, in your career? Take a minute to pause, you know what I mean? Take some time off, to recharge your battery. Have you ever had to do that in your career? If you have, you can type the word reset in the comments. And if you feel like sharing what part of what aspect of your life or your career that you had to hit reset on, please do share. I would love to hear from you, and I will reply to all of the comments. And I read all of the comments. So yeah, feel free to subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. If you're curious to find out, follow me on my journey as I continue to work towards designing the life that I want to live on my own terms, and maybe hopefully offer some insight for you if you're feeling the same, if you feel like you need to change some things in your lifestyle as well. And so that's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to get on here and talk to you for a little bit. And I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching.